Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is a virtual class for Practical Research 1, and we are now on the third module, if I'm not mistaken. And the title of this third module is Identifying the Inquiry and the Problem Statement. So, i-remind ko lang kayo ng konti about your final output for this subject, because it seems that the modules does not really entail the final output, but your final output is a qualitative research paper. Okay? So, on the first module, I have already discussed to you the research format, and I've already told you that you are going to write your chapter 1 and chapter 2 in this quarter. So I hope you already prepared yourself, and even the first task that I have provided to you is that you brainstorm already for topics that you would like to take on as your research topic. So anyway, moving forward, the objective of this module is, the objective is actually identifying the inquiry and stating the problem. So anyway, at the end of the lesson, you, the students, are expected to first enumerate information that are included in the research title, discuss rules in choosing research topics, list some sources or references for research topics, and write your own problem statement. Now, later on, we will be talking about what is the problem statement per se. Okay? So, going back to the inquiry and research, sinabing natin, no, inquiry is to look for the information, and research is discovering truths by investigating on the chosen topic scientifically. Okay, so we would like to distinguish now, to identify what is going to be your inquiry. Ano nga ba ang magiging research ninyo? Okay? So, how to start a research study? First of all is brainstorm. That's why your first task is to brainstorm ng mga topics na gusto ninyong malaman. Mga topics na curious kayo about it, no? Or interested kayo to learn more about it. And how are you going to get more ideas for your research topics? Is you have to read other research studies and read research papers in our school. It's available. It's in the office. You can ask me if you want to. And that is one of the reasons bakit nga nagsasubmit kayo ng hardbound, is to help other learners, future learners, so that they will have references. And of course, research, no, on trends or current topics that are happening right now, depending again on the topic that you would like to pursue. So that is how you want to start a research study. It starts with a question. It starts with a problem. But the problem itself, the way you find this problem, the way you establish this problem, is actually hard or difficult, I should say. Hindi kasi basta-basta maghanap ng suitable na problem, especially when we are running out of time, because we are only given a semester for this. Just remember these 5 characteristics. Your research study, your problem statement should be SMART. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. It should be specific. It should be measurable. It should be attainable. Hindi yung baka matapos na lang yung isang SEM, no? Wala pa rin, no? Hindi pa rin na-attain ang objective. It should be realistic as well. And time-bound. Yun na nga. Meron kasi time limit. Hindi tutulad ng sa college or even sa college may time limit, no? Pero hindi to graduate studies na depends on your study, no? Kung gaano katagal makakonduct ang buong study. So you have to remember SMART. Now for your research title, how are you going to write your research title? There are many ways on how to write your research title. First one, what are the components or things that should be included in your research title? The first information that you needed is what? Ano? Ano ang nasa laman ng research na ito? Ano ang magiging topic mo per se sa buong research na ito? That is the what part. What subject matter? What topic is to be investigated? And again, no, be very specific on what topic you are trying to study. Next is where. Ang where is the setup, the location, the locale of the study. That is why itong locale of the study is actually included in the methodology as well, and the scope and delimitation of the study in chapter 1. And the next is who. Sino ang pag-aaralan natin? or not exactly sino, not all the time tao ang pinag-aaralan, but it could be other materials as well, or other, like for example in biology or in other natural sciences, it might be a bacteria or something like that. But since we are dealing with qualitative research, the who here is your research subjects, yung respondents ninyo. Sino ba ang pag-i-studyhan ninyo? And then next is when, the time limit, the time period, because it cannot go on. No, kailangan talaga meron siyang starting point at meron siyang end point. That is what you call when. So all of this should be in the research title. So for example, you may have a research about, let's say, perception of senior high school student on getting 6 months or getting booster per 6 months. Tama ba ang wording ko? Per? As a requirement for face-to-face classes. For example lang. So may kulang sa aking maraming kulang sa example ko na title. Ang kulang, although nandiyan yung what, Sino? Nandiyan yung what? Perception of the SHS students on getting boosters per 6 months as a requirement for face-to-face classes. That is the what. Where? So kulang siya dapat students, SHS students at Wisdom Islamic School. Kailangan nilagyan ko ng ganon. Who? Nandun na, students at Wisdom Islamic School. When? Pwede ko siyang lagyan ng SY 2021-2022. So, pwede siyang maging perception on getting boosters as a requirement for face-to-face classes by SHS senior high school students at Wisdom Islamic School SY 2021-2022. So that is your full research title. Yan yung makikita sa inyong research paper. Now, it depends upon you. This is just an example. Kayong bahala kung ano yung gusto ninyong research title. So, supposed to be na pag-isip-isipan nyo na ito dahil ang first task nyo nga is to try and write a lot of topics that will interest you. So, dapat, until right now, meron na kayong what they call this one, idea kung ano ba yung gusto ninyong studyhan. Now, next, we have choosing a research topic. So, choosing a research topic. So, yun na nga. First, you have to be interested in the subject matter. Because there will come a time that at some point while, writing the paper, you might, feel something like, why am I doing this? Why am I studying this? Why did I choose this topic to begin with? Maraming issue. Okay, magkakaroon ng maraming issue, ng mga doubts. Especially if you don't even know the subject matter. No? Because sometimes meron kasing mga nangyayaring ganon. Nag-propose ka ng topic na gusto mo, but then, during the outline defense, naiba siya or na-change siya. So, it turns out na hindi mo na gusto yung topic mo. So, find really a subject matter na you can play around in the entire subject matter and you'd still be interested. Iba talaga pag gusto mo yung ginagawa mo or gusto mo yung isang bagay, gusto mo siyang studyhan talaga. You're interested in the subject matter. Number 2 is availability of information. Update and authority of the materials, copyright dates of materials, are they old or new, expert or qualification of the writers of reading materials about your topic. Because there are some topics na kung saan wala masyadong material or wala masyadong information available on it unless you have access to different types of information or access to research studies na na-publish na. Pero probably na-publish sa mga journal na paid, yung kailangan ng subscription bago mo ma-access yung mga documents na yun. So, you have to find something, a research topic that has abundant, availability of information. So again, it depends upon you, And try to find a topic din, guys, na relevant sa panahon natin ngayon, sa mga nangyayari ngayon. So for example, ano bang relevant ngayon? I'm not sure. Are you guys, 18 and above? Can you vote? Because there's a lot of things in the political world right now because of the time, Yung natin, yung at point in time natin ngayon, we are like a few months away from national elections. So ang daming pwedeng studyhan about politics. And also about pandemic. the something about Omicron virus. You know, yung nagkaroon tayo ng anxiety, nagkaroon tayo ng na-trauma tayo. You know, some people actually have developed different types of habits or routines because of pandemic. So, maybe you would like to ask them questions about this, or baka may gusto kayong i-pinpoint, no? Like, for example, ang isang napansin ko na nangyari sa estudyante is, meron kasi ako nakitang meme na pinost ng isa sa mga pamangkin ko. At ang sabi doon sa meme is that, hindi na daw alam kung nag-aaral pa siya or nagapasa na lang siya ng module. Now, there are a lot of, akala natin meme lang yon, no? But there are a lot of social and, you know, political questions about it. Why? Bakit naisip yun ng bata? What happened? Anong nangyari? No? Especially in the context of a public school student. Kasi pure modular sila. Unlike you, no? Alhamdulillah, good for you. You have online classes. You have schedule and you have a venue where you can interact with other people. You can hear the teacher's voice. You know for a fact that the teacher is real-time speaking to you. You know, it's different. So, paanong naisip yun ng estudyante? There are a lot of things or problems, research topic that you can formulate out of that simple meme. Kaya guys, as much as possible, as early as, actually dapat last week pa, but okay, moving on, as early as now, send me a lot of titles na feel ninyo, gusto ninyong i-pursue, so that as early as now, I can advise you if it's good, if it's controversial, if it's something like, if it's a sensitive topic, if, you know, para hindi yung pagdating sa outline defense, saka pa tayo ma-reject. Kasi mahirap yun. Mahirap yung nare-reject ka sa outline defense, lalo na kung, buti sana kung minor changes lang ang magiging verdict sa inyo ng panel members, pero paano kung change title? It's like, you're going back to square one. You're going again to find another topic. So, that's one thing that we are trying to avoid. Okay, so as much as possible, guys, send me research titles now so I can advise you. And then number 4 is limitations on the subject. Again, no, limitations, because there are other topics in the world, in our daily lives, na hindi siya pwedeng i-touch or puntahan, no? Because you want to make it, again, no, relevant. You want to make it relevant to you as a senior high school student. Hindi tayo pupunta sa mga bagay na masyadong malayo. Like, for example, if I am talking about the presidential race in the perspective of a senior high school student, hindi yung pupuntahan pa natin or maghahanap pa tayo ng lawyers or ng mga political analysts. No, it should be in connection to you as a senior high school student. Or maybe in connection with the course requirements itself. No? Kasi ang main point, again, ang main point ng practical research 1, aside from the fact that it helps you or it teaches you how to perform a research, to follow scientific methods, is the final output. In which case, ang final output nyo is a research paper, a qualitative research paper. So, aanhin natin na pinaganda natin masyado yung inyong study, hindi nyo naman natapos yung goal. Diba? So, dapat ilimitahan natin yung subject matter, yung research topic natin sa makaya-kaya lang natin bilang isang senior high school student. And next is also personal resources. Meron kasing mga, you know, sometimes we get excited, like if we find that research topic na parang feel natin maganda siya, something I really want to know the answer, a problem that I really want to find a solution for, you know. So, na-excite tayo, we forget na, ay, estudyante lang pala ako. Hindi pala pwede. Hindi ko pala kaya na mag-abot ng 100 respondents, no? Hindi ko pala kaya magpa-print ng 100 to 200 questionnaires, no? Kukwestiyonin pala ako ng nanay ko. Or, since pandemic, hindi ko ito magagawa ng face-to-face. So, kailangan lagi ako may internet. Kailangan, pag-send out ko ng questionnaire ko, I should be updated on email, Facebook, Messenger, a lot of things, a lot of platforms, so that I can get back. Makuha ko ulit ang aking mga questionnaire na may sagot. Personal resources, kasi lahat yun, kailangan ng resources, kailangan ng energy, kailangan ng effort, kailangan ng time. Okay, so yun yung mga bagay na kaya ninyong gawin. Next, kailangan ng finances, kailangan ng pera. No? Kaya dahan-dahan lang din tayo sa pag-choose ng research topic. So all of these things you have to incorporate, you have to think about, you have to consider bago ka makagawa ng totoong research topic. That is why I've told you last time, I'm not sure if it's in Module 1 or Module 2, that establishing the problem statement is one of the hardest or the most difficult part of a research study. Because later on, pag na-establish mo na yung iyong problem, no, yung problem statement mo, everything will follow kasi. Because you have already established yung point, bakit ka nag-research. Okay? So those are some rules in choosing a research topic. Now, how about research topics to be avoided? Kasi merong mga research topics na hindi appropriate, no? Like, for example, controversial topics. Religion. Yun na nga, politics. But depending on the politics per se. Like, there are issues and topics within politics that can be objective. No, pwede. Pwede siyang i-tackle ng isang student. But again, on the context of being a senior high school student, no? Hindi tayo yung magpapersonalan with the politicians, hindi, di ba? So, it could be possible, no? It's possible that you can have a topic. But, as much as possible, guys, try to find a suitable topic talaga na yung feeling ninyo ay kaya ninyo at hindi siya controversial. Aside from that, mental health issues is a bit, not exactly controversial, pero sensitive. Any type of health issue, actually, is sensitive, especially to underage students. Kasi most probably, if you're going to talk about senior high school students, junior high school, or elementary, yun naman yung mga possible ninyo na, respondents, no? Underage sila, unless siguro grade 12. Probably kayo, isa lang or dalawa lang ang 18 and above sa inyo. Most of you are underage. So, if you're going to talk about mental health issues, data privacy and secrecy should be prioritized. Kailangan nyo talagang gawin yan. Kailangan nyo mag-waiver to the parents. No? Kailangan nyo gawin itong mga bagay-bagay na ito. Of course, because every person, especially the underage people, has rights. Okay, so we try to, as much as possible, stay away from these things. But you can actually try to research about, yung mental health awareness lang. That is possible. Like, for example, nagtaas ba? Nag-increase ba ang mental health awareness ng mga bata because of the pandemic? No? So, do we now, do we now try to, mag-educate ourselves about mental health issues because of the pandemic, because of the things that we see in the news nowadays? Maraming issue pala ang mga kabataan. So, nag-increase ba ang mental health awareness ng mga bata? So, that is something that you can study, without being too controversial or too sensitive about the research topic. Number 2 is highly technical subjects. Now, if it's just about mental health awareness, that's okay, no? You can have standardized questionnaires about this, and you can, ask permission to the original author and then use that questionnaire. But yung mga highly technical subjects, like for example, if you want to specify a certain health issue like sociophobia, so ito hindi natin to pwedeng pag-aralan. Or yes, kasi hindi kasi wala tayong expert sa school. Wala tayong expert sa school na makaka-diagnose ng sociophobia. So, and even if you say, teach, hindi man galing sa school ang respondents ko. It will be other people. Okay, where? Where are you going to get these people? In a clinic? Sa tingin mo talaga, bibigyan ka ng access to information, ng mga clinics na ito? These are highly technical subjects. We need experts para tulungan ka sa mga ganitong klaseng bagay because a lot of things will be, marami tayong mababangga kung ganyan ka, highly technical yung mga research topic na gusto ninyong pag-aralan. And a whole lot of things, like for example, yung mga, what do you call this one? Yung mga creating, I don't know, I forgot which batch of grade 12 student who proposed creating a curriculum base, gusto niyang mag-create ng curriculum base sa current tardiness and absenteeism level of the students. And I was like, you want to create a curriculum? Even doctorate students, hindi sila ganun kagaling or ayaw nilang maggawa ng buong curriculum. Like, man, it will take time. But I actually respect the guts of the student. But maybe hindi niya naintindihan, na napaka-technical ng bagay na yun. Ang paggawa ng curriculum ay hindi basta-basta. Okay, so those things are highly technical subjects. Next is difficult to investigate topics. Aside from the fact that the subject matter is difficult itself, like, let's say, for example, perception, kahit perception lang, no? Kahit perception lang ang gusto mong tingnan. Pero ang respondents mo naman ay, let's say, yung mga estudyante sa isang area na merong gera doon. So, difficult siya to investigate kahit perception lang yung gusto mong kunin. Kasi nga, how are you going to get there? Eh, may gera nga siya, war zone nga siya. Although we would like, no? Me personally, in 2017, I had a subject in my master's degree program. I forgot the title of the subject. Basta, it's all about research. And I wanted to know, is it 2017 or 2016? Kailan nga umupo si Duterte? 2016, no? Yung Maote. Yung Marawi siege. So I wanted, because we have students that time na galing pang Marawi. Alhamdulillah, nakalabas sila sa Marawi and they, enrolled in Wisdom Islamic School. And I was working as a registrar that time. And I had issues because I was like, asan yung report card? Wala po, nasira yung school. Sino po kaya yung pwede kong i-contact para makuha yung SF10 ninyo? Wala din. Sirado nga ang school. No? Hindi natin alam kung anong nangyari dun sa mga tao na nandun sa school. But, okay, those are facts. No? Those are facts. But I wanted to know. Because you can see, iba kasi ang itsura talaga ng mga tao na na-traumatize. And you can see in the eyes of the students, they are affected by this. You know, and especially when people talk to them in a very insensitive manner, making jokes about Maote, making jokes about these things. So, gusto ko sanang malaman. That was why I wanted to study about them. But then, I realized it would be difficult to investigate those students because fresh ang trauma. And the next, again, I have to have an expert na, that will check my questionnaire. Although pwede good sana yung gawin, but it will take me a lot of time. At isang semester lang again yung klase namin. So, try to avoid those difficult to investigate topics. Yung bang feeling ninyo, mahihirapan kayo mag-collect ng data. Yun ang sensitive topics and people. Because we have to try to understand them as well. Next is 2 broad topics. Ayan, mga sobrang broad. That is why during outline defense, usually ang tanong lang talaga namin ng mga panel member is that, what about this? Okay, you would like to study the academic performance of the student. What about the academic performance? Ang dami kasi. Memorization is part of academic performance. Problem-solving skills is part of academic performance. Logical thinking, critical thinking, analytical thinking. A lot of these are academic performance. So what about it? That is why every single time, ilang taon na ba akong nagtuturo sa school, and I actually started the research thing in the school. And every single time, ever since we started the entire outline defense and final defense, usually talaga sa outline defense, ang pinakatanong talaga namin is, what about it? Bibigyan mo kami ng isang topic, napaka-broad, and then we ask you specifically, what about it? You want to talk about absenteeism. What about absenteeism? Ang lawak kasi ng absenteeism, di ba? So you have to avoid this type of broad topics. In contrast, you also have to avoid too narrow or too limited na mga topics. Yung bang parang yes or no lang ang makuha mo na answer sa mga respondents. Too narrow. Napaka-limited talaga. Halos wala nang maisagot ang mga bata about it or ang mga respondents mo about it. Because, wala eh. Kailangan pa ng something additional, no? Para maging research topic siya. And then vague topics as well. Like, merong what do you call this one? Propose dati na gusto niyang malaman if naapektuhan ba yung mathematical skills ng mga bata based on schedule. In fairness, may point siya. 'Di ba? May point siya in a sense na pag umaga ang klase ng math, then you have enough energy to absorb the subject or the content. Kasi nga, gising ka pa, no? Starting of the day pa lang. But then, in the afternoon, kuwan din siya, no? Pwede rin siya in a sense na nakakain ka na. after lunch na siya. So, nakakain ka na, tawag dito, na replenish na yung pagod mo, nakapagpahinga ka after duhur. And so, you can have energy as well to absorb the content, no? But then, in reality, if you're going to look for studies about this, correlation between the schedule and, mathematical performance of mathematical skills of the students, marami. It's just that, pag tatanungin mo na yung estudyante, paano mo kukunin yung relationship between the two, hindi niya na kayang sagutin. Kahit siya mismo, hindi niya maintindihan minsan, sometimes, some students, they don't understand even how are they going to connect these two topics together. Parang isipin mo, sa utak niya, merong schedule at merong mathematical skills. And even that person, that student may be, na-realize niya rin, sa katagal niya nag-aaral, na-realize na siguro na, buti pa nung grade 9, umaga yung math namin. Medyo okay pa ako. Ngayong grade 10, bakit hapon kasi? Nairita ako. Di ba parang may mga ganong issues? So, maybe siya mismo, gusto niyang pag-aralan, is it really possible? Is there really a relationship, no? Meron nga ba? But then, during the defense itself, hindi niya kayang i-defend, there you go, yung topic na yun. So, as much as possible, you try to really narrow it down and you try to find the connection. Avoid being vague. Ano ibig sabihin ng vague? It's not clear. It's unclear. Kailangan clear siya. Kailangan, you can really see the line, the connection between two different topics, and baka nga actually tanungin pa kayo, so paano mo ito gagawin? Just a little bit of something maybe you noticed earlier sa research title, nandoon ng what, where, who, and when. Teach, saan yung how? That will be on the 3rd chapter, which is the methodology or the methods. And that entire chapter is about the how of the entire research study of the entire research paper. You tell me how. Doon yun siya na chapter. Okay? So those are the topics that you have to, what do you call this one? Avoid. Try to avoid. Next, sources of research topics. So we have mass media, we have, books or press, newspapers, ads, TV, radio, films, anything that you can see on the, what do you call this one? TV perhaps, that can be a source of a research topic. Or maybe from books, or things that you read from the internet, or peer-reviewed journals, government publications, You can actually find research topics in those things. Also from professional periodicals, yan, yung mga bagay na yan. Actually, sa quantitative research ng mga estudyante natin, in early batches, they try to look at professional periodicals, and that is why some of them will try to study about English fluency, English proficiency, problem-solving skills, because they got the inspiration from reading these things. So you might wanna read these periodicals as well. Also from general periodicals such as Reader's Digest, Women's Magazine, Panorama Magazine, World Mission Magazine, Time Magazine, and other magazines that has something to do or that interests you with the subject matter. And also previous reading assignments in your other subjects or work experience. Like for example, hindi ba kayo nag-wonder noong grade 8 kayo probably, or grade 9 or grade 10, some things. Like another student of mine nung grade 12 sila, ang gusto niyang pag-aralan that time is that, in fairness naman, feeling ko naisip nila yung research topic na yon because sila mismo ay parating late. So, gusto nilang studyhan, nag-propose sila sa akin na, teach, what if our research topic is about ano ang mas better daw na starting time ng isang school day? Is it 7 a.m. or 9 a.m.? Because apparently, may nabasa sila sa ibang countries, it actually starts at 10 a.m. So they were like, bakit hindi gawin ng Pilipinas na 10 a.m. na lang? But it stems out from them being tardy. But then, when I try to research previous studies, apparently, may relationship, may correlation, no? And apparently, ang pinakamagandang time na this is just one study, ang pinakamaganda daw na time na mag-start ang isang school day is 9 a.m. And I was like, meron pala. Meron palang siyang review-related literature. It has been studied before. So, it can be, kung may mga ganun kayong bagay na gusto ninyong studyhan, just send me the research topics or the research title, possible research titles, and then we can try to work it out, pag-usapan natin kung pwede siya or hindi. So, from your previous assignments, yung mga essay na pinagsusulat nyo dati, mga things from your different subjects, that might have sparked your interest or something, you can try to revisit them now and see if it can be a research study. And a whole lot more actually. Guys, kahit sa Facebook right now, yun na nga, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, just because of that meme, it made me think that, yeah, there are a lot of things that could be formulated from that. Moving on, we have scope and delimitation. So, scope and delimitation of the study. First, i-differentiate natin kung ano ang scope at delimitation. Ang scope ay yung coverage ng entire research. Kumbaga pa, ito ang aking topic. Okay? And we have an example here, a study on the influence of social networking on the attitude of senior high school learners. Now, when you say attitude, guys, malawak. Napaka-broad niyan na topic. Now, how are you going to, specify that one? It should be on the delimitation. No? Sa title niya siguro, andyan siya, no? But it's a broad topic. Inside the research paper, you have to specify this. And you even have to define it on the definition of terms. Para maintindihan natin ano yung ibig sabihin ng attitude. Okay? And even the social networking. What do you mean by social networking? Ang dami. Napakalawak na ng social networking ngayon. What do you mean by social networking? Is it just the time spent on using Facebook? Or is it just the time spent using Instagram or TikTok or lahat yun? Diba? Ang lawak ng social networking. So, it is not possible to cover all aspects of the selected subject. The scope will have to be restricted, ayun na nga, to a specific section of the target population over a specified duration. Now, the scope is the topic itself, the coverage, but you are going to draw the boundaries, draw the line in the delimitation. Okay, so you will now tell the sample size, the reliable data or lack thereof, lack of prior studies. Maybe you will say that konti ang related studies nito. Chosen data collection method. Like, I am just going to use a questionnaire made by me with the specific questions. Kaya nga, dapat meron na rin kayong dummy questionnaire kung kayo mismo ang gagawa ng questions, no? And the nature of the information collected, access of the data, time period, bias, language, nandoon yan dapat lahat sa delimitation. Now, you might want to ask, Teach, bakit natin ito pinag-uusapan? Because you are going to write your chapter 1 now. Okay? So, what is your chapter 1? I hope you have already an idea of what is the chapter 1. But anyway, in this module, we have already discussed the topics, like enumerate information that are included in the research title, discuss rules in choosing research topics, discuss research topics to avoid, list some resources for research topic, and explain scope and delimitation of the study. Now, what is going to be your work? Your work is write your chapter 1 or introduction. Deadline is on March 1, 2022, which is next meeting. And then, ang format is short bond paper, Arial ang font ang font face, 12 points ang font size, double space dapat ang buong document. Okay, guys? I hope you understand double spacing, ha? Kasi may nagpasa sa akin dati ang double spacing niya, enter niya kadalawa. No. Just write as is on MS Word and then highlight the entire section and then click on sa taas ng sa mga commands sa taas ng MS Word and it says paragraph and then i-click niyo yung icon ng line and paragraph spacing and then click on 2 which is double spacing. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng double spacing. Again, guys, ha, huwag ninyong i-double space na ang meaning niya ay 2 enter, no. Imbis na konti na lang yung trabaho, mas lalo pang nagdami ang trabaho. That was really hard. Anyway, so, that is the deadline. And what is the chapter 1? It contains first background of the study. Wag mo, hindi ka pwede agad-agad, or hindi naman sa hindi pwede, but before you can state the problem, you have to give a background why this is a problem. Okay? So, yun ang background of the study. You have to say, or you have to point out bakit siya naging problema. Like, for example, last year, yung ni Jebran, yung kanyang research sa III is about the confidence level of senior high school students on vaccines, different types of vaccines, no? So, sa kanyang background of the study, niya, diniscuss niya na, okay, first of all, nagkaroon ng COVID-19, and then next, we find out that they can have vaccines for COVID-19, and then we have issues na, people are scared to take the vaccines, and then people are hesitant, no? So, gusto kong malaman ngayon, doon na siya nagsabi, no? Papunta na siya sa problem statement. Therefore, the researcher would like to study the confidence level. Nagganon siya, no? Yung researcher. And then, nag-problem statement siya, state niya na, the research paper is all about the confidence level of ganito, of the students at senior high school, Wisdom Islamic School at school year 2020-2021. And then, specifically, the study aims to answer the following questions. Number 1, okay, ano nga bang brand? The level of awareness ng mga estudyante about the vaccines. Number 2, are they educated? Siguro. Or number 3, anong brand ng vaccine ang gusto nilang i-take or gusto nilang kunin, no? So, ganun ang problem statement. Afterwards, you have the significance of the study. Who will benefit to this, about this research? Because one of the characteristic of research is being relevant. And usually it is of public matter, no? So, it should be relevant. Hindi yung sayo-sayo lang, no? Hindi pwede siyang personal lang, no? Na gusto mo lang malaman kung anong magandang hair color for you, no? Hindi siya pwedeng ganun. Because you can also do research about that, diba? Pakulayan mo ng, let's say, red yung kabila and then blue yung kabila and you try to look, ano mga ba ang mas bagay sa akin. Okay, that is research, no? Hindi nga lang siguro scientific method ang ginamit, but still, that's research. So, but in our case, kailangan significant siya. It should be relevant to people. So first of all, is it relevant to the teachers perhaps, or to the students, to the administration, to future learners, to public officials, ganon. Kailangan sabihin mo sa significance of the study to who will benefit from this study. Next is scope and delimitation of the study. Yun na nga, pinag-usapan na natin siya kanina. And then you have definition of terms. You have to define terms that are vague. Like for example, yun na nga, kung nagsabi ka ng social networking, is specifically what social networking? Kasi ang lawak ng social networking. A lot of times as well pala, no, na yung mga estudyante ko, they will like, teach, how about the effect of social media? And I will tell them, okay, what about it? Effect of social media to whom? And about what? Okay. So, sasabihin nila, about sa academic performance. Okay, napakalawak ng dalawang yun, academic performance and social media. What about social media? Because kung maalala nyo pa sa MIL natin, ang daming under sa social media. Merong social networking, merong bookmarking sites, merong video sharing sites, merong picture sharing sites. That is how YouTube is different from Instagram, and how Pinterest is different from Facebook. So marami ang under sa social media. So what do you mean by social media? A lot of those things. And then also yung mga acronym, guys. Huwag kayo basta-basta magsabi ng DepEd, DOH, what do you call this one? Yung mga ganon, no, DOST. Kailangan nyo siyang i-specify because not everybody knows the acronyms or the meaning of the acronyms. And also yung mga ninyo, like, Arabic words perhaps na gagamitin nyo, like Ustad or Asatid. So I think that is it, guys, for today. Let me see. Yep, that's it. So any questions so far, guys? May mga questions ba kayo? For Marhania, siguro it's quite easy because, she just can ask her brother about this. But the others, basta constant communication lang, guys. You have to, if you really have questions and whatnot, you can PM me from time to time. And also, guys, pag hindi nyo siya alam kung paano i-start, magbasa muna kayo. Kailangan talaga magbasa ng mga, ng mga example. Sa internet, you have to really research para talaga makastart kayo. And, aside from that, startan nyo talaga siya. Kasi kung hindi nyo talaga yan simulan, matamad talaga kayo, guys. Magulat na lang kayo, hala, patapos ng school year. Tapos naghahabol tayo lahat, no? Tapos, wala, no? Oh, by the way, guys, okay, before, a good question from Marhania, teacher, individual ba or by pair ang research? Before, guys, I was thinking of by pair. This time around, I think it should be individual. Kailangan individual kayo. Para masanay tayo na individual. Para masanay tayo na independent tayo. Ha? Isa yan sa mga gusto kong isanay sa inyo, guys. Para enjoy. Because pagdating nyo ng college, it will be, practice na dapat this senior high school. Pagdating nyo ng college, magugulat kayo kahit may kasama kayo. You're still on your own. So at least, diba, nakapractice na kayo ngayon. Guys, next week, kahit draft lang ang ilagay ninyo, kahit draft lang ang isubmit ninyo, the mere fact that you started, yun lang yung pinaka-point doon. Okay, so since done so far, well, thank you so much for attending the class today. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.